This is the Missioning 101 class, and I intend it to as very much a 101 as an introductory class. Compared to the other classes, I do not intend it to last a full hours. Well, if it does, so it will, but I don't, I'm hoping to be done in 30 minutes, including questions, because it's really going to be fast. And this was a class that I scheduled because somebody asked for it. The general rules still apply. Please make sure your mumble is on push to talk. Ask your questions in the class.e-unique channel with a Q. But when I ask for questions and I stop speaking, as long as you don't speak over me, using mumble is fine. Okay, can everybody hear me fine? X up please, if you do. Alright, perfect. So, missions is something that most of us will be doing in EVE, and the reason being that they give 4 categories of rewards. They allow you to earn ISK, they allow you to earn loot, they allow you to earn LPs, loyalty points, which you can trade for items or ISK, and most importantly, they allow you to earn standing with agents. All the missions work on the same basis in that you have level 1, 2, 3, 4 or 4 missions. Level 5s I'm aware of for security missions, but they're definitely beyond the scope of these 101 missions, 101 class. And they will all be graded in order of difficulty, and you need increasing standings with that faction to be doing them. If we start with security missions will consist of blowing up rats, usually, meaning NPC characters, which are much easier to kill than player war targets or the like. So don't think that because you can blow up frigates in a mission, you can do the same against an actual player. In a level 1 mission, in a level 1 security mission, you will be able to do them with a frigate. You will be comfortable with a destroyer. If you want to do level 2 security missions, a destroyer should be fine for most of them, depending on your skills, but a cruiser is usually expected. For level 3s, you can use a cruiser, but again, you will need to have good skills and to have good a good management of the aggression timers and triggers, but mostly you'll be expected to have a battle cruiser. Now what I'm linking here is like the Bible for security missions. This is a guide with all the possible security missions that could be given to you. They're really important in that they tell you they give you a lot of important information. Some of the information is don't waste your time blowing up structure or doing this or that. There's not going to be any loot. The other important information is what sort of damage you will be receiving and what sort of enemies you will be facing, meaning what modules should you equip your ship with. This is not going to be particularly important in the low-level missions, but in the level 3 and particularly in the level 4 missions, this is going to be fairly important in that you want to know what sort of damage will be incoming so that you can optimize your tank, as in you will be getting mostly explosive damage, then you will fit your ship with specialized explosive modules for your shields or armor tank, depending on what ship you're flying. The other really important mission is the faction you'll be facing. And that tells you which missions you should take or which you should refuse if you do not want to lose standing with a given faction. For instance, if you are looking at the list here at the top of the page, you see that Against the Empire is a level 3 mission that can be given to you, obviously not from an Amar agent, but from anyone else, likely a Minmatar agent. And if you do this, you will be fighting the Amar faction, which means blowing up Amar ships, which is not that hard, but at the end of the mission you will lose standing with the Amar Empire, which you may not necessarily want to do. Finally, if we get to run up these security mission thing, the level 4 missions are better done with a battleship. It used to be possible to do them in a Drake, which is a battle cruiser. It's a very tanky battle cruiser, although it would take a while. But I'd strongly suggest a battleship, and not all missions are equal. Some missions are really hard, like the recon mission. Even though you're in the first part of the mission, even though you're not supposed to be fighting the rats that spawn, you're supposed to be able to run. Well, if you can't run, you'll have to fight, and that's a really big spawn. There you go with the link. Level 5 missions are better done with a team. They're not designed to be soloed, so you want a group of players. And the same goes for incursions, which you could consider to be a special kind of missions, but they have their relevant class and all that stuff. You can run a mission in a team. Any kind of mission, what I'm going to say applies to all kinds of missions, and then we'll have a brief overview of the other kinds. You can run a mission in a team, and in this case, you can elect to split the reward. The person who accepts the mission from an agent will have to come back to the agent to complete the mission, as you have done already with the tutorials, and I'm sure every one of you has already run at least one mission. When you do that and you're in a fleet, you have the option to keep the rewards for yourself or to share them with the members of your fleet. If you're in a big fleet, like more than 10 players, then only the first 10 players in the fleet, including yourself, will be the first 10 alphabetically, I think. But including yourself, will share the rewards. Everyone else will be left out. There's a way to decide that when you click yes or no for sharing the mission rewards, you can make this a permanent choice. I wouldn't advise it. I'd suggest keeping it on demand, so you don't have to reset that in your parameters, but it's a matter of choice, obviously. When you share the rewards, you will share the ISK that the agent gives you when the mission is accomplished. You will share the bonus ISK that is rewarded when you have finished the mission within a given time. And you will share the loyalty points and standings. You will not share whatever reward you get for killing rats, and these are important parts of your rewards. So when you're in a fleet and you blow up rats, everybody gets a share of what Concord gives you for killing bad people, and that is regardless of whether you want to share the reward of the mission. Now, as to the other, the different forms of reward. The first is ISK. Ada Kiga asks, are loyalty points divided, or does everyone get the same amount of LPs? They're divided. The amount of LPs that's offered by the agent is what he will pay out. If you want to divide it, you will share it among the members of your fleet. If you don't want to divide it, you take it for yourself. So the first reward that you get is ISK. you get a first part for having done mission, and the second part if you have finished it within a given time frame. The second part are the loyalty points. These you can trade at the LP store for a given faction. Obviously, LPs are only marketable within a faction, with the exception of Concord LPs, which were during incursions, and which can be converted at a short price into any other faction LPs. So you will see for yourself in the LP store, for instance, if you're docked in PTS, there is an LP store there, and you can see for yourself what you can buy with your LPs. It's usually good value if you know what to buy with them. A rough rule of thumb is that one LP should be at least 1,000 ISK in terms of value, but if you pick the right items, you can trade, you can get from an LP store some items that will sell on the market for more than 1,000 times the number of LPs they were worth. The third reward you get is standings, and that's the main reason why people start doing missions after a while. Standings are with agents. So you get each time you do a mission for an agent, he likes you a little more, and after 16 missions complete with that agent, you will gain a storyline mission, which will boost your standings with that corporation a lot, and even with the faction that it's part of. For instance, in Aldred, the main corporation is the MMC, Minmatar Mining Corporation, and so when you do storyline missions for the Minmatar, you will usually have the Minmatar Republic liking you. The reason why standings are important is they allow you to get higher level missions, which means which are more profitable, and they allow you to get a discount on the tax you pay for your trading orders and some other stuff that I've forgotten in the moment. So many people who are using market alts or who want to be traders will want to have good standings. Same with the miners who want to refine. They will want to have good standings with the station that they're doing business with, because it's a small reduction in the tax, but with the number of times we'll be doing this, it adds up. Finally, Ada Kiga asks, when you obtain faction standing from storyline mission, do you also lose standing with the faction's enemies? It depends, but yes, it could happen. Again, taking Minmatar Mining Corporation as an example, when you take a storyline mission, when you get a storyline mission by that corporation, there's a good chance that the Minmatar and Amar factions being at war with each other, you will get a storyline mission involving Amar. In that case, if you accept the mission, which you do not have to do, remember, but if you do accept the mission, you will gain standing with the Minmatar and lose some with the Amar. Personally, I never accept missions that will lose me standing with any of the Empire factions. You can lose standing, obviously, with some of the lesser factions like Serpentis and all that stuff, but I don't want to lose standing with the Amar. You can get standing by running, for instance, in this the example of the Minmatar and the Amar. You will lose less standing with the Amar by doing a Minmatar storyline mission that you will gain from doing an Amar storyline mission. So if you really were into mission running, you could alternate between Minmatar and Amar missions and raise your standings overall. It seems like a lot of work to me, but it would definitely work. Zeklu McLuger asks, is the only way you lose standing with Empire factions in missions is by killing Empire faction ships? Mostly yes, but it depends. In some missions, you will be able to kill Empire faction ships and not incur a standing penalty. In others, yes. In some missions, you will have specific ships that are triggers and that will lose you standings, and others won't. Again, I refer you to the very, very useful Leaf Survival Guide, where that sort of information is displayed. Now, at quick to run things up, there are also other types of missions. We have distribution missions, which involve carrying goods from one place to the other. The upside is they're easy to do, they're not dangerous, but the drawbacks are that the pay is very low. I hope you don't get much background noise. There's a hailstorm going on here. Level 4 distribution missions are still not that dangerous, but you can make pretty good money with them as long as you have a fast ship. Usually the cargo to be hauled will not exceed, the maximum is 8,000 cubic meters. So you can rig a fast ship that will still be able to carry that much and complete the mission fairly fast, and then get the reward from missions. So the idea is that you will be running more missions than you would with like level 4 security missions. Vale asks, also less standing rewards for transport missions. Yes, the rewards overall, the rewards overall are a bit less, but yes, it's all proportional. Mining missions consist of, well, mining stuff. Level 1 mining missions and even level 2 can be done in adventure. The pay is really low. One side can be done very fast, especially if you have a mining barge. But once you get into higher level mining missions, you can be attacked by rats, not only belt rats, but you start being attacked by drones. So that will require some form of protection. Also, the higher level mining missions will involve quite a bit of ore, so you will want to jet can your ore and have a hauler to bring it back. But when counting the LP rewards, I have seen on forums some players that earn really a ton of money from level 4 mining missions. When done right, apparently it's an extremely profitable activity. It does require at least 2 characters running it. Ada Kidika asks, are Tech 1 drones sufficient DPS for a mining barge on mining missions? They're definitely sufficient up to level probably 3, depending on your drone skills. I wouldn't take them on level 4s. Finally, you have, and this is very much as a parenthesis, you have the Cosmos missions, which are a special set of missions where you have Cosmos agents from all 4 Empire factions. You can find the list on the various EVE and E-University wikis. The one thing about these agents is, unlike other agents, once you decline a mission or you let it lapse, it will not happen again. So you really want to be careful before you start Chronos missions. You will want to be doing the whole set of an agent's mission. Be prepared to do the whole set of an agent's mission, and without stopping. Well, you can without canceling them or letting them lapse. Ada Kigas, Tech 2 drones for level 4, another player instead. I'm not sure Tech 2 drones would be sufficient, but again, it really depends on your drone skills. Just try them and you'll probably be able to see them. Carisole, I'm not sure I agree with the need a hauler thingy for mining missions. Well, I've seen mining missions that had let me remember, I had 2 cans worth of ore from the mission, so I thought need a hauler, but if you don't want to use a hauler, go ahead. Ezra's Cobra asks, what's the best way into R&D missions? I'm afraid this is a part that we're not going to cover here because I'm not good enough with them. Sorry. So, two more things. Once you have an agent who's offering you a mission, you can obviously close the box, or it's called delay, which means the mission is still on offer and you have neither accepted nor refused it. Once you've accepted it, the timer starts, which means you need to complete the mission within a certain time before getting the bonus reward, and within a longer time, usually a few days, before the mission lapses and you have automatically lost it, as in failed it. If you refuse the mission, the agent will say things about "I won't forget that" or something like that, but you won't actually lose standing. On the other hand, it's called decline 2 missions in a row within 4 hours, then you will lose standing with that particular agent. If you have very good standing, you won't mind, but if not, then you may want to wait until the 4 hours timer is over, and just run mission with another agent. This leads us to whose corporations to pick, which is an important point because you don't want to have loyalty points all over the place. You want to pick corporations that will be useful to you and your possible alts. So you want corporations that have level 4 agents. That's important because they're the ones who give you the best rewards. And you want corporations that are in the places where you'll be operating. So mainly you want to have to be operating from stations where whose owning corporation will be some people you have good standing with, and those standings will be help with running missions. Zachlum Luker asks, only in a row or is it set at 4 hours? For instance, can I decline one, runs the next, and decline again and be okay? No, I misspoke. What I meant is you cannot, once you've declined one mission, if you decline another mission within the next 4 hours, then you will lose standing with that agent. So it doesn't have to be in a row. If you're running missions really fast, you can decline one mission, run 10 missions, and then the 11th mission is before 4 hours, and then you will lose standing if you decline it. Ada Kiga asks, are there social skills that help with agent and faction standings? Yes, absolutely, and this was going to be my next part. So you have social skills that will, if you look at your skills, you have the social category of skills that will definitely help. So the first one is social. The social skill will give you a bonus to each faction standing increase. So if you're going to run a lot of mission, that one is really interesting. Then you have skills like connections. Connections which will give you a better standing with your agents. Diplomacy is which is not cumulative with connection, but this one is a skill that when you have negative standing with an agent, diplomacy would caution the blow. Then you have fast talk, which is a skill that will boost your security rating increase from Concord when you kill rats. And you have negotiation, which is also a very useful skill. Then you have all the skills that are connections, which give you bonuses with a particular type of agent. They're more expensive to buy, but I strongly suggest getting at least social, negotiations, connections, and diplomacy, training those 4, and maybe fast talk. and then maybe getting the security connections if you want to run security missions. Web Modulier asks, does sex stages still play into mission rewards? Not that I know of. They'll ask, what about aborting missions and standing? When you abort missions, you will lose standing, and that's it. Oh, you meant the bonus. No, it's not going to lose. The standing loss is not going to be multiplied. Lynn CO asks about storyline missions. I'm doing missions for Republic Justice security missions, and there is a storyline security agent station. However, when I did my 16 missions, got a storyline from an industry storyline agent from another NPC corp. Normally it should be from the same NPC corp, but yes, the storyline mission does not have to be in the same category as the missions you were running until then. That happens. Again, you can decline a storyline mission. It does not count within your 4 hours timer because it's with a different agent. Okay, one last thing is about, two last things. The first thing is the different ways of running missions. If you're running missions for money, it may be worth it to decide whether you want to blitz the mission or not. If you're running them for standing, you will want to blitz the mission, there's a question about it. Blitzing the mission means identifying what the agent wants and giving it to him. In security missions, that means you do not have to kill everybody, just have to kill whoever the target is, or bring whatever the mission loot is, and that's it, and leave everyone else on the field. Sometimes if you're into making money, then sometimes it will be profitable to kill everybody, especially as in high-level security missions, the ISK reward from the agent is only a fraction of what you will earn during missions. For instance, in level 3 and level 4s, the rewards you will get from Concord for killing the rats will be much more than you will get from the agent. Also, the loot and salvage, as Baron Turallen points out, can add a significant portion of your loot. This again will depend on the faction you will be fighting. Around Aldred, for instance, one of the problems is that the people who give you missions are in Minmatar space, so you will very often be fighting angels, and angels have notoriously poor loot for their levels. Ada Kiga asks, are you referring to bounties on the pirates or drones? Yes, I am. These bounties are going for killing people. They're rewarded by Concord, not by the agent. So if you kill more things, you get more bounties from Concord. Again, depending on the missions, it can be worth it to just be done with it and do the mission loot and refrain from killing everybody, because some targets will take too long to kill and will just not yield enough, not be profitable enough. But in other times, it will be worth it to kill everybody, because between the bounties and their loot, you will make a lot of money. Last point is how to run missions under the war SOP, because the E-UNI is at war. Do not get into the idea that just because you're in a mission pocket, and therefore in a place that is not near a celestial, you will not be found. Yes, to go back a bit, Vail asked, do you recommend to get a salvager ship to go back and salvage when all enemies are dead? Well, yes, I usually do this. Now, it depends. The loot depends on the mission. So, I'd say that level 1 and often level 2 missions are not really worth salvaging. But starting with level 3 and particularly level 4 missions, you will find salvage really worthwhile. Here's a fit of salvaging destroyer that I use. You can use salvage drones, as Thrillia Umbrella pointed out. The salvaging destroyer is fairly fast too. You can use the top salvager would be a Noctis, but then ties into what I was talking about, which is war targets. If you want to salvage, you want to remember two things. The first thing is that if a reg only lasts for 2 hours, so if you're running a series of missions, you need to stop after a while to be sure that you salvage your regs before they pop. The second thing is, if you have your regs behind gates, then you will the gates will pop after the mission is over. So you need to bookmark the regs. Each time you get into a pocket, you should bookmark one of the regs, and then you will be able to warp directly to the reg with your salvaging ship or your ship with the salvaging drones later on to pick everything up. AK Delocor asks, are salvage drones good for level 3 plus missions, or is it better to use a salvage boat? Again, it depends. I tend to like having a mission ships that can tear through rats faster, and then scoop everything after I've done a few missions, scoop everything with a dedicated mission boat, a salvaging boat, but whatever works for you. So when you intend to salvage, remember to bookmark one reg from each pocket that you will be getting into. Now, the important part about security. Remember that we're at war, and war targets can scan you down. Once they scan you down, they can warp to the pockets you'll be in. So, when a war target is in local, you should not be running a mission. You should dock. Don't think you're safe. If you're almost finished, but almost as in within seconds, okay, finish blowing up that rat and then dock up. If you're not almost finished, if you've got 1.5 pockets to go, well, leave them. You'll get back to them later. All you're losing is the fact that the rats will probably respawn if you wait for too long, and you may lose the time completion bonus from the agent, but that's not worth getting your ship blown up by a war target. Remember that mission ships are not necessarily fit for PvP, and war targets are, so you don't want to be caught in a mission pocket by a war target or a group of war targets. On the other hand, if you're confident that you can fight the war targets in system, you may decide to keep running your missions. One example would be a few days ago, we were 2 battleships running level 4 missions, and a war target popped up in Aldred. We couldn't scan him. We knew that he was looking into different places, and we thought, well, if there were only one of us, yes, he would probably be in a Tech 2 cruiser, and so he would be able to kill any of our battleships by getting under our guns. But as there were 2 of us, we were quite sure that if he walked into our pocket, we'd be able to handle him. So we kept on doing our mission. Neuron asks, I thought we are not at all allowed to run solo missions during war, right? Wrong. You are allowed to run solo missions during a war. The only things you have to do is be in a fleet. But it doesn't, you can be, for instance, if you're around Aldred, you can be in a Operation Fortress fleet, and you need to be on Mumble. That does not mean the rest of your fleet mates have to be with you on the mission. The reason, and that's the reason why I mentioned earlier on that you may decide at any point to share or not share the loot. For instance, when I mission around Aldred and I mission by myself, I'm part of Operation Fortress Fleet, and each time I complete a mission, the agent asks me if I want to share the reward with the rest of my fleet mates, and each time I tell him, no, not this time. So what is really not allowed is, as Ada Kiga writes, to lose ships to war targets, particularly shiny ships, but even non-shiny ships is frowned upon if you were missioning. So if you have one war target in local, dock up. If there are war targets around, just be careful. Check live intel, make sure nobody is too close to you, that sort of things. Don't think that you're safe because you're in a mission pocket. If you are in a mission pocket, meaning a place that you acceded to from an acceleration gate, then anybody getting into that pocket will need to use the gate. At this point, they will arrive at the designated beacon. So if you took a gate and then moved, say, 40 kilometers to your objective, and you're 40 kilometers from the beacon that is the exit gate, then the gate exit, then you're reasonably safe in that any war target that pops on grid will be 4 kilometers away from you, and hopefully you will have time to dock. But generally speaking, don't take chances. The Thriller Umbrella asks, anyone knows how a good PvE BC stands at PvP? Again, it depends. Some are pretty good, others not so good. For instance, I have a Harbinger that has an armor repairer, which is useful in PvE, but definitely not enough for PvP. I've got another Harbinger that is Shield Harbinger. It's good in that it has very good firepower, but it has less sting than my PvP Harbinger. So it's a matter of perspective. It depends on who you'll be fighting. Okay, this concludes the lecture portion of this class. If you have any questions, post them or ask them in Mumble, and we have open comms. Otherwise, this class will be over. Baron Turellen says, if you're doing mission the Operation Fortress Fleet, do not share mission rewards. It can cause standing losses to other people. Depends what sort of mission rewards you get, but yes, generally speaking, you're right. Zaklu Maluker asks, I have a bunch of tags like Kildari Navy Captain Insignia from missions. What do I do with them? You go to a Kildari station and check the LP store to see what you can do with them. Vayel asks, how do I join Operation Fortress? If you click on the white box that is on the top left corner of your Neocom, then you go to Social, then you go Fleet, you will be into the Fleet Finder menu, and then you should find one that is called Operation Fortress. You click Join and you will be part of it. Ada Kiga mentions that yes, if the Mumble channel is left up and 10 people remain, you get class credits. Yes, I will leave the Mumble channel open, but I will probably be cooking dinner or something. So just make sure, ask your questions now while I'm still listening. The good thing about Operation Fortress, Naren Thanos, is that once you're in a fleet, you have other people can warp directly to your location. They can right-click to you and say fleet, and they will have a menu that says fleet and a warp to location. You also have a fleet chat, which means you can type in the Operation Fortress fleet chat, oops, I'm in, say, Aegfi, and I'm being attacked by a war target by an Agitana Rios flying, a Dremiel, and blah, blah, blah. So you have people who are near Aegfi and who can get to Aegfi and warp directly to your location without asking, where are you exactly? This is going to help. Next, Lincio asks, what are class credits? If you do classes, you will get a sort of standing increase with the EVE University that will help you become sophomore a bit quicker. but they're really not that important because you will become sophomore automatically anyway after a while. So once you're sophomore, they're absolutely useless. And a Kiga asks, are there recommended fit for the various mission levels on the wiki, or must one canvass the missioning forums? Frankly, yes, there are fits on the wiki, but try whatever works best for you. It depends on your skills. The PvE fits that work well involve having some repairs, but other than that, whatever works for you. Their missions are not that hard. Wood Medulla says they're important for hangar access. No, being sophomore and hangar access are independent scales. Odd Owens asks, level 1 missions harder in low sec, or if they're sort of static no matter what security level? Good point. I don't know about level 1 missions, but those I did try were a bit harder in low sec. It's a very good point. I'm not entirely sure. I'd say yes, it's a bit harder, but I'd have to experiment to know exactly how much harder. Chris Soleil asks, is there a summary somewhere or corporate attributes if you want to look at a corpse? Yes, you can. One easy way would be if you go to the you can do agent fighters, and you can sort by corporation and by region and all that stuff, and then you have sites that will give you that information if you're looking for more specific stuff. Kiga asks, do you recommend guns or missiles for missioning? Again, it depends. If you're good at missiles, use missiles. If you're good at guns, use guns. Generally speaking, missiles are mostly used for missioning. The Kildare in particular have some excellent missile boats that are very useful in missions, but not so good for PvP because of the delay between the time when they're fired and when they hit the target. So incursion runners and PvPers tend not to like missiles all that much. But for running sites, one of the best, if not the best ship to run sites, be it missions or exploration sites, would be the Tengu, which is a missile ship. Lincio linked a key that helps you to open a gate in a mission. Well, that was what allowed you to take a particular gate. Are there any E-War modules that you care to recommend for missionings? I don't know. I would generally. I'm not sure I would bother about E-War when missioning, because you don't want to. E-War is useful when you're in a fleet and you want to neutralize part of the enemy fleet. And missions, you want to blow everybody up. So I tend to use all my slots to make the targets pop. Mr. Jojo asks, did you already mention best areas close to Eldra to get the better paying missions? I heard you mention the Angel's Leave poor loot. I agree. Well, again, it's not a question of areas, it's a question of corporations. So you want, it depends on what corporation you want to do. Another point is it depends on what ship you're flying. For instance, I'm mostly a MAR pilot, although I also fly other races' ships. But my missioning ships so far have been a MAR, though I should be changing that. And around Aldrat you have mostly Angels, and Angels have very good resistances against MAR weapons, meaning they take longer to do. So generally speaking, you want to be doing missions in places that are in the same Empire faction as the ships you'll be flying. That's where they'll be easiest to do. This is for security missions, obviously. The other missions, the mining and courier missions, are just the same. Once you ask what should I be changing my PvE ship, I'm not changing it. I'm probably going to do missions in to have another missioning ship on top of the previous one, so as to deal a diverse sort of damage. Against Eve Survival will help you with that. If you're a Kildari pilot, this means you can choose what type of missile you will be firing, depending on your targets. But if not, other races have less flexibility, so you may want to change ships whatsoever. Gas, do mission NPCs use E-War? If so, is ECCM worth taking along? Yes, they do use E-War. The higher level the mission, the more likely you are to have E-War. Usually you will have sensor dampening, target painting, and tracking disruption. You will rarely be jammed, but later on it can happen. The Klumluker asks, would MR agents give missions good for MR pilots in other faction space? For instance, would they not put an MR pilot up against pirates' resistance to lasers? Again, generally speaking, MR agents will be in MR space, but when they are MR security agents will be in MR space, and MR security agents will mostly, not exclusively, but mostly give you missions against Blood Raiders. Blood Raiders will be firing lasers at you and will be vulnerable against your MR lasers. Yeah, Makuru Tetsu, losing a destroyer does happen, or even a bigger ship does happen in missions. The general idea would be don't bother pushing your luck. If it's too hard, warp away. Ask for help. If you're around Aldred, you can ask some people in Operation Fortress for help. It will make things easier and make the mission complete faster. Elokigas, should beginning mission runners join Spider Fleets, or should they get some experience first? Again, it depends. They can, if they're accepted within Spider Fleets, why not? Yeah, if you were Scram Makuro, then bad luck, it happens. Generally speaking, in terms of running missions solo or not, I'd say that if your standings allow you to get missions that are higher level, particularly security missions that are higher level that you would be comfortable flying on your own, then it's more fun to be flying level 3 missions with 2 cruisers than to be flying level 2 missions until you have the skills to fly battle cruisers. So this is a case where you can ask in Operation Fortress fleet chat, and for somebody, for 1 or 2 people to come along with you and run higher level missions as a team. No, Spider Fleet technically in terms of a fleet means everybody is running missions on their own, but they're part of a fleet, so they're sharing the reward. This is a way of maximizing the reward gain by everybody else. What's a good mission chain to begin with? I don't know. It depends on what you want to do. The Sister of Eve one is good because it gives you it boosts your standings with everyone else. The Cosmos missions will boost your standings with one faction. They will lower your standings with the other factions, but never mind that, because if you do all of them, you will get an overall boost in standings. SOE can be done, 90% of Sister of Eve can be done in the Destroyer. Dagon requires good DPS to kill, so it depends on how much punch your Destroyer has. Again, if you can't kill him, just well, if you have a Dagon killer fit, then it'd be okay. Dagon is not that bad. I mean, he just has a good tank. Yeah, Kettle is probably the destroyer that has the most DPS, at least at range. So this one should kill Dagon easily. The Cosmos missions are supposed to be one time only, but I need to check that because I saw that some of them could be repeatable. It just took a long time. The link I posted are for Cosmos missions. No, there are no exploration-specific missions. When you're doing exploration, you are not getting standing, you are running sites and getting your own rewards. And yes, the difference between a cruiser and a destroyer is not DPS. DPS can have better a destroyer has better DPS, but a cruiser has more tank. Which is the reason you should, if you can, you should take a cruiser to do level 2 missions, because tank is important in missions, and you'll just be more comfortable. I mean, you'll be safer. Yes, some general mission runners share the LP and etc. with in Spider Fleet. Absolutely. Another way to do it would be for generous people to run missions along with the lower level players, and they will get a little money from the bounties, but they will let the other player get all the LPN rewards, or they will share the LPN rewards. The idea being to make the missions go much faster. Ma'am Thaman, I didn't say they were Concord missions. I said they were Concord LPs, and you gain Concord loyalty points by running incursions. And incursions are a great thing to do. They are a bit like missions, except there is no agents. But if you want to run them with the E-UNI, you need a battle cruiser with a Tech 2 tank as your minimum entry-level ship. Other corporations will ask you for a battleship. Yes, a lower experienced player could join a fleet with more experienced players and salvage the field. Why not? Again, it depends on what you want to do. What often happens is higher experienced players will just invite somebody in and tell him just loot the field and we'll split the loot, for instance. Other times they will say, look, I'm going to run a mission. It happened to me both as a salvager when I was younger and as a mission runner more recently, and I said, look, I'm running level 4 missions. I'm not going to bother salvaging them, so if you want to come with your salvaging Desi, just come along and warp to my position and salvage as you want. I'm just not going to share the reward missions with you, but other than that, you can take all the loot you want, and there's good money to be having in it. Thriller asks, when is it a good time to do incursions skill-wise, and can you do them alone with a BC? Again, incursions are not technically mission runnings, but you cannot do them alone. Oh no, they're really, really hard. Consider them level 10 missions. An incursion is a group of 10 or 11 people, mostly with battleships and lodges. And in terms of skills, as I said, you want to look at the incursion. There's an incursion section in the forum, but in terms of skills, you want a battle cruiser with a fully Tech 2 tank. If you do not have that, don't even bother trying. Yes, you basically want a battleship, but you can try them as soon as you have a battle cruiser. They will let you in. They will usually take 1 or 2 battle cruisers per incursion fleet. But again, it's in the with the understanding that this is while you skill up to get a battleship. Because until you have a battleship, you're not really pulling your weight in incursions. But they're really nice and excellent money. Okay, well, if you guys have no more questions, it's been an hour. Everybody who wanted to have class credits, you can have your class credits, but we can wrap this up. How can we tell if a mission is repeatable? I'm not sure I understand your question, Adaki. Yeah, well, all missions are given by agents except for the Sister of Eve, which is repeatable after 3 months, and you know that because there's only one Sister of Eve, and then you have the Cosmos missions, which are once per character, so they're not repeatable. No, I'm not. At the moment, I can't think of any other mission chains, but you don't really need them, you know. Oh yes, yes, you're right. Crystal is right. You've got some empire chains that you can do to boost your standings with that particular faction, and you will lose standing with the other empire factions. Absolutely. And yes, they're much harder than the Sister of Eve, and they will involve you running all over the place. So be careful that once you're spotted doing them, war targets who know where the locations are may decide to stalk you and try to pop you on the way.
Also, some of these go into low sec.
Of course. But I mean, you know, lowsec is just a normal place. It's just a place where you can shoot at somebody without being concorded. Okay, people. Well, I didn't expect this to last for so long. I'm sorry if some of you got bored, but because I thought this was very basic information. I hope you learned something and have fun missioning. You can run mission fleets or do anything else.